Welcome back to the James Duerr Show and the 7 Steps to Financial Success. Today we have a very special guest, the entrepreneurial source, Scott Kidd. Hey, Scott.
Hey, James. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you for being here. It's so important. I mean, it's so important to have the 7 steps, and you need to have the financial products out there and services that can help you in your life. But for most of us, our number one source of income is our job. So what's great about the 7 steps is we teach you how to create safe money. So with safe money, you can get to a point that later on in life, or at a certain point, especially if you have a family, you have enough safe money that you can afford to venture out and make more money. And that's what franchises do. I mean, you go out and you create your own business and you create your own destiny.
You bet. Have a little control over your results and maybe diversify from the stock market and those sorts of things.
Yeah. So we're talking about franchises today. We're talking about franchising a business. And why is the franchise model so popular today?
Well, in that type of model, what you're buying is a systematized business, and you're buying a system that's helped other people be successful in their business. And so the other thing you're buying is support from the franchisor and the franchisees. A lot of people, I don't think, realize that the franchisees are often very helpful in terms of helping you be successful because they've been there, done that.
Right.
And they're not seeing a new franchisee as someone who's a competitor. They want the brand to be successful, and they want that person to be successful.
Because usually you have territories, right? So they're not really competitive in that area, or
usually that's the way that works.
Okay. Yeah, I was reading up, getting ready for this interview, and reading about franchises, and a lot of franchise companies that franchise, they want you to go visit not only the home office, but visit and try their products out at different franchisees and try it out before they do it.
You bet. Usually there's a validation process that someone who's looking at a franchise goes through, and part of that validation process is actually talking to existing franchisees to understand their experience and see if that's a good fit for them.
Okay. But I think I'm a smart guy. So if I have a business idea, why don't I just go out there and start the business and not have to pay franchise fees and royalties?
Well, that model, the franchise model, is actually good for even people who've been in corporate for quite a while, because in a corporate life, oftentimes you've been in a silo. You're very good at finance, you're very good at marketing, and you've had exposure to the other areas, but you haven't had deep knowledge of those other areas. So having that roadmap to go by is oftentimes very helpful for people. And you can do it on your own, but if you do it on your own, you have to get everything right.
Right.
You have to get the marketing, the finance, the operations right. And I know folks have heard the statistic, 60 to 70% of small businesses, fail within the first 3 to 5 years. They're talking about that type because there's more risk. Just straight up, there's more risk in doing that. And you need to be able to work on the business. A lot of people get in a business and they get so ingrained in the weeds of the business.
Right.
That they don't take a breath and look up and say, well, where do I need to be going? Where is this business and industry going? And those are some of the things that a franchise should be doing for you, is taking a look at what's coming up, because all businesses change over time. You can't
Well, Scott Kidd, I think you've answered the question I've always had. I mean, that's, for a small business owner, they're wearing the marketing hat, then they're wearing an accounting hat, they're wearing the sales hat, they're wearing the fix-it hat, whatever has to be done, they do it.
Yep.
But what you're saying is when you do a franchise, it sounds like you can have less employee startup because you have all these services, the inventory from the franchisee, you have the, accounting support, things like that they kind of get you set up, that you don't have to, you can't do everything yourself because you're not wearing every single hat.
Yeah, and they show you how to do those things, and oftentimes they have those things in place for you so that you don't have to do them. And a lot of times they're going to allow you to focus on what's most important in your business, not necessarily the bookkeeping, but the marketing and growing the business and getting out there to get new customers.
Okay. Again, we have Scott Kidd with the Entrepreneur Source. I love that name, Scott Kidd. And he's a businessman placement coach. He'll find the right franchise for you. Is that correct? How does this work?
Yeah, that's correct. I help people explore business ownership.
Okay.
I don't charge them my time to help them do that, so it's an investment of their time, but no money. And I actually represent my clients and their interest in exploring business ownership, and more specifically, exploring the franchise space to find one that that makes sense for them.
Okay. Well, I'd like to go over some more questions I have about franchise businesses. But maybe if you can stay for the next segment too, would there be some examples, types of businesses that you could talk about?
Sure.
Okay, we'll go over types of business, so stay tuned for the next segment. We'll actually go over type of opportunities they're now in the market that Scott can help you with, the Entrepreneur Source. And Scott, how do they get a hold of you?
You can reach me by phone at 830-357-8406. My email is skidd@esourcecoach.com.
Okay, great. And we'll repeat that. And as always, the James Duerr Show is a mixed media, so we always have this on Facebook, on YouTube, on our website. So you can always go back and review some of this. If you're just now tuning in, you can always go to the James Duerr Show, JamesDuerr.com. We have the podcast there. We have the videos there. If you're going on a long trip, you just plug in the podcast and away you go. We don't want you watching video on the highway, but we definitely want you to go back and review everything and make Scott Kidd your resource, your local resource. If you're ever thought about franchising, Scott's the guy. So what are the common, a lot of misconceptions? What do people think about franchises that are maybe more myth than truth?
Well, James, when I ask you about franchises, what immediately pops to your head?
Spending a lot of money.
Oh, okay. Most people, when I say that word, they think of McDonald's.
No, McDonald's.
Okay. Chick-fil-A, and they think of fast food because that's what you see the most of. But there's thousands of franchises. There's probably a franchise for just about anything that you can think of in terms of business. So that's one of the misconceptions, that it's all fast food. And the other misconception that kind of goes hand in hand with that is that it's a big investment up front.
Okay.
Because
that's what I would think.
Yeah, sure. And that, for those types of businesses, that may be true because you have real estate, equipment, those sorts of things that drive the cost up. But there are franchises out there that don't require that type of upfront investment, and therefore your return, may be quicker than if you did a business like that.
Okay, so we're going to go into all those tips. You kind of give us some ideas in the next segment of franchise businesses that don't involve buying a lot of real estate and really doing the big bucks.
Sure.
Okay. And what about? I have a personal question too. What about if you buy a franchise? Can you flip it after you make it successful?
Yeah, actually, that's what you should go into it with the eye to do.
Oh wow! Okay.
Because if you buy the business, you're going to sell the business at some point for some reason, and so part of that strategy may be, I want to grow it to this level, and then I'm going to look for investors to buy it. And I know of at least a couple people that's what's happened. Investors have come in and bought the business. They made out really great. The investors were happy to have the business. It's a win-win.
I mean, they already did the hard work, and they got it going. They got the cash flow going. They got their customer base going, and so it's a lot easier for an investor to know that that's going to be like a done deal after a few years of accounting of income.
Yeah, they're buying a valuable book of business at that point.
There you go. And what are the advantages of having your help, Scott, in finding a franchise? Why don't I just go on the internet and just start searching?
Well, like I said, there's thousands out there. I'm not sure exactly how you do that, and it's one of those deals of you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
It would be like buying a stock and just looking at one sector and a couple businesses within that sector. There may be other things out there that are going to help you reach your goals better, but because you don't know about them, you just don't look into them.
Yeah, and you're the expert in the business. This is what you live and breathe. And if there's a franchise out there, you probably know about it, and you can probably tailor the needs of the listener for what they're most adapted for.
Exactly. Looking at their strengths, their capabilities in terms of business ownership, what they want the business to accomplish for them in terms of things like income and lifestyle.
Okay.
And then introduce them and help them learn about ones that actually fit their characteristics and look to be a good fit.
Okay. Well, we got about 3 minutes before the break. Is there anything you want to talk about before our exciting next part is I want to learn about the different franchises you have available. Can you tell us a little bit more about your business in the last couple of minutes?
Yeah, so to be frank, I don't work with everybody. I have a group of about 200 that I work with, and the key there is that I'm working with them. I don't work for them. I'm not a business broker.
Okay.
And so I represent my clients and they're interested in exploring them.
So you don't have a personal tie to the franchise businesses that you're recommending.
Correct.
So you're ethically, you don't have any problems with recommending one or other company because that's what's best for the buyer.
Yeah. So I'm looking from the standpoint of the buyers.
I like that because that was one of my questions. Was is there certain franchisees that are paying you to represent them? But you're saying no. You go out and look at all the franchises out there and you try to make it the best for the buyer.
Yeah. On the contrary, there are franchises that we work with that want me to get someone across the line, and that's not what I do.
Okay.
And what I would ask them to do is give my clients information that helps them get themselves across the line if it's a good fit for them.
Yeah, well, that's a great place. From being in financial services, you always want to do, in our industry, is suitability. So you want to do whatever is suitable for the client. Not what's suitable for you. If you're selling a product, it's what's suitable for them, and that's exactly what you're doing. You're finding the best product for them with no ties to the original franchise company.
Sure.
Wow.
Exactly.
I like that, Scott. So again, how can they reach you, Scott? Scott Kidd at Entrepreneur Source is our guest on the James Duerr Show today. Again, you can find us. If you got any particular, you can always send me an email at jamesduerr.com, the money@jamesduerr.com, and I'll get that to Scott if you don't have his number. But you can always review the information on our website to find this video, which our excellent producer is doing high definition. So, Scott, tell them how to reach you and your email address.
Sure. Via phone, you can reach me at 830-357-8406. Via email at skidd@esourcecoach, all one word, .com.
esourcecoach.com. Okay, great. Well, thank you, Scott. Well, stay tuned. Right after the break, we'll actually go to a couple of examples of franchise that you may be interested. If there's more out there, you call Scott at 830-357-8406, and he'll definitely give you that personal touch and help you with successful business. We'll see you right after the break.